Hey, what's going on, guys? So pretty recently, like a week ago, they did the Nintendo Direct, and the Switch at this point is getting near the end of its life, and they're really kind of doubling down on a bunch of like remakes or even like HD ports, basically just bringing in games from other consoles over to the Switch. And that got me thinking, there are a few choice games that I would love to see on the Switch or even the Switch's successor, especially if it's backwards compatible. I wanted to kind of share them with you today because I think they're games that mean a lot to me, but like it got me thinking, and I like to open up the conversation, with you guys as well. Like, what kind of games would you like to see on the Switch that aren't currently on the Switch? I know some of these games may be on other consoles through backwards compatibility, but, having these games on the go, I think would be very cool. So without further ado, let's jump into my quick list of games that I would like to see on the Switch. And let me start this by saying, I don't mind if it's a port, just a straight port, an HD remake, or a full-on remake. I mean, any of these would be cool, but, this is just my small list. But let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm going to knock the controversial one out of the way, although game-wise, I feel like this is low-hanging fruit because it'd be very, very easy to throw into the Switch's online service. But that's going to be Donkey Kong 64. Now, I know Donkey Kong 64 has a really bad rap for being like a monstrous collectathon that's like egregiously collectathon like intensive. If you haven't played it before, I mean, you literally do have to go to every single stage with all 5 Kongs to get everything, and it can be very frustrating when you're in an area and it's like, man, I wish I could pick up these bananas, but they're red, so I got to be Diddy Kong. It's real frustrating. I will say, if you were to add this game into the online mode, and I doubt they would do this, but I mean, even if they just did like a straight port, if somehow they added that there's like a mod that's out there where you can actually grab everything as everybody, you won't believe how big a difference that makes. But regardless, this is, in my opinion, a really good game that is trapped on the 64. I mean, it's in that weird kind of spot where it's a Nintendo IP, but it's a Rare game. But that said, a lot of Rareware games are going onto the online service or just the Switch in general, so I feel like there's a chance for this to be there. I would love for it to be there, even if it's just the original kind of cumbersome version. But, that's just my view on that one. I personally do think that Donkey Kong 64, in some capacity, needs to be on the Switch. Now, this list is, obviously is going to have some Nintendo stuff, but also some non-Nintendo stuff. But I'm making the list in the sense that, like, it's for games that make sense that could be on the Switch. And that said, like, I can't say Legend of Dragoon because, like, that's owned by Sony. But to that end, I don't see why the original Dohack series can't make it onto the Switch. I love the Dohack series, and they already did like an HD version of Dohack GU. Originally, they ported it over to the PS4, which you can play on the PS5 with backwards compatibility, but then they did make a Switch version, and I was like, man, I mean, I love that game. Gameplay-wise and like visuals-wise, it's definitely the better of the two as far as the series goes, but I loved the first Dohack series. There's 4 games, if you don't know. They're on PS2. And I will say that some of them, and by some of them I mean like 2 through 4, are very expensive, with 4 being extremely expensive. I mean, if you could do a Dohack collection, kind of like the GU collection, even at a full retail price of $60, you are like saving so much money compared to buying them on the PS2. I think it's a great series. The soundtrack is amazing. A little of it's probably my nostalgia talking, but it's fantastic. If you've never played them, you really, really should at least look into them. Like I said, they're kind of expensive, so it would be a bummer. I would hate to suggest to check these games out and you buy the first one and you love it, and then you realize that the 4th one costs like a couple $100. But, I think these games would be perfect on the Switch, especially because they've already done GU. I think it's kind of like a no-brainer for me, but, let me know what you guys think. Now, here's one that may or may not have the same feeling from you guys as I'm going to have, but I love Final Fantasy IV. It's no mystery if you've watched my channel for any amount of time. And even though it is a complete rehash, I also really loved Final Fantasy IV The After Years, which is kind of like a compilation game that they ended up making into a solid game. It has a weird history, but let's just say, let's take the version from the PSP, which is like the ultimate way to play it. I would love to have that on the Switch, or maybe even the like iOS or Steam like 3D version that kind of mirrors the DS Final Fantasy IV. I never actually got to play that one, but I love the After Years. Really, I just love more Final Fantasy IV. I don't care that it's like a complete rehash. It's a complete like same story, just with new characters. I loved it. I thought it was very fun. It would have been super cool if they could have somehow included it on the Pixel Remaster collection. But then again, if you've played the Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters, you also know that they didn't include any extra content for those games, like from the Game Boy Advance versions or the PSP versions. So, you know, to think that they would add a whole extra game is definitely a thought that no rational person would have. But like I said, I really liked the After Years. And you know, this might be a little bit of a hot take, kind of like the Donkey Kong 64, because a lot of people didn't like it. But, you know, for me, it was getting to be in that world a little bit longer. It's to get to see the next generation of characters, basically all of the children of the first game's protagonists. And you just get a little bit more to the plot. I personally really loved it, and I would love to see it on the Switch. Now, this next game was only on the PlayStation, to my knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, but also it is Square Enix, so I have a little bit of hope, and that is Einhander. Einhander is the business. I have a pretty decent collection of, like, shoot-em-ups, shooters, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not the hugest fan. Not that I'm, like, hate them or anything, but it's not, like, my go-to. I mean, if you were to take, like, the classic genres of like platformer, RPG, shoot 'em up, beat 'em up, it's probably gonna be platformer or RPG for me. Maybe fighting game. I didn't throw that one in there, but shooters wouldn't be like at the very back, but it's not the very front either. It's not something I jump into. But Einhander is awesome. The music is so cool. The game is very cinematic. It feels a lot like very cyberpunkish. It's like you're playing in the world of the Fifth Element almost. But it is a great game, and I don't know why I haven't seen it anywhere else. I mean, granted, it might be like on Steam or something. I'm not sure. I don't play much on computers, but I'd love to see it on the Switch. I'd love to play that game on my Switch. I think that game is ripe for a port. Or even like a cool remake would be dope. I mean, although there's something kind of cool about like those PS1 blocky graphics. But I don't know, man. Let me know what you guys think. This is a game that, a lot of people might not even know about. But Einhander, first time I ever played it was in a demo disc. And man, I own it now. And that game is definitely worth it. Now, this one is also maybe a hot take for some people. I don't know, man. There's so many people who love this series, though. I feel like I'm not crazy to say that Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 should be on the Switch. And at this point, I don't care if it's the GameCube battle versions or the Dreamcast original version. I don't care. I just want to play Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 on my freaking Switch. Would I like a really nice, shiny HD, just HD remake? That'd be nice. A full-on, remake, like Final Fantasy VII Remaster kind of thing? Yeah, hell yeah. I'm sure. Can I have the Chow Garden? Yes, that's what I want. You know what I mean? I don't really care how you do it, but Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 need to be on there. They're doing all this stuff like the Sonic Generations HD, and they're adding in Shadow. That game is so new, and you're making a shiny, crispy HD version. Take Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 and do that. I don't understand. So many people like those games. So many people, granted, a lot of people bust those games hard, but so many people are like, wow, this game, or series rather, this was the highlight for them for 3D Sonic games. There's been 3D Sonic games since then that I'll say are pretty good, but those two for me, and this is definitely nostalgia talking, those two for me though are to me the best. And granted, it's because when I was in middle school, I remember going over to my friend's house and playing them on the Dreamcast nonstop, looking up weird recipes for making certain chows in the Chow Garden. But man, they're so fun. It's such a good series. And then when they came out with the GameCube versions, and then they ported those over to Xbox 360, I just got to relive it again, and I would love to do that again, but on the Switch, for sure. I think those are two games that just in any capacity need to be brought up. Now, my final pick is like the most obvious pick on earth, especially because literally if you've watched a single video from my channel where I've opened up something, you know the background music, you know what I'm going to say. Mega Man Legends 1 and 2, both of them. I mean, you can't have one without, well, you can't have two without one. I guess if you were to twist my arm and say we can only give you Mega Man Legends 1, I don't care, man. Tron Bond thrown in there, that would be awesome too. But like, those games are so stinking good. I lament that there's like no way to play them. I think if you have a PS3, you could, I don't know if their store's still open, but at some point you could have downloaded them or can download them. Man, they're so good. They're so fun. I mean, on the Switch, even if I was just like, beggars can't be choosers, Mega Man 64, I mean, it's like the crappy version of Mega Man Legends, but god dang, it's better than nothing. And I would take it. You know, I wouldn't get two if that's the route they're going, but you know what? At least I would have something. I love those games so much. They mean so much to me. You know, I was heartbroken, obviously, back in college when, like, they canceled Mega Man Legends 3. Mega Man Legends is just a phenomenal series. Great story, great gameplay, great music. I love playing it, like, on the computer where you can like use modern controls and like set your own controls. If they had at least that option where like you could use the R1 and L1, because you know they didn't really have, I don't think, analog controls. It was tank controls for the first one, but I know when you like, I remember hacking a PSP and putting it on there and you could use the shoulder buttons to turn and look, which you couldn't do as easily. I mean, it would be the jams, but that's just my deal on that. And also, that's my list. I mean, let me know what you guys think down below. I mean, it's a short list, you know, and I might make more videos on this, you know, especially if you guys have some really good ideas in the comments down below. I might do a follow-up and say like, hey, you know, this is the commenter list of games that you guys want to see on the Switch, because that's what I want to know. I mean, these are the games I want, and like I said, this is a very short list. This is just me like kind of spitballing. I was like, I don't want this video to be crazy long, but let me know what you guys think down below about my choices, and then what you would like down there. And it doesn't have to be one game, you know, you're not limited to one game per comment. Write me a paragraph. I really am interested, because I know the Switch is reaching the end, but doesn't mean we can't get some sweet remakes. And hey, that's gonna do it for us today, guys. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you haven't, please do. It would be awesome. But as always, my friends, take it easy.